Okay, I'm here with George Ensle. He's a Austin songwriter, and he is going to answer these questions for me, I think.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is content for our readers, and so we're interested in knowing about your creative process. So do you have a daily practice, or how do you take care of your inner creative soul?
Well, morning is my best time to write, and sometimes on the road too. But in the morning, I pretty religiously, if you'll excuse the expression, say my prayers, and that when you pray, you have to clear your mind of so much clutter. It's good because it's first thing. There's not a lot there yet, but still
Right.
there is a lot. And the inside voice, that's talking to you,
Right,
telling you what to.
the critic.
Well, the one that says, here's your list of things you need to get done, and it's like you need to put all that aside when you pray to the Lord. And that's a 15-20 minute, sometimes longer. And then I feel like I'm devoid, if you will, of interruption, and I can meditate and I can listen to what he wants me to do, what he wants me to say, where he wants me to go, and then that's what I do. Try to follow that voice,
Right.
that voice.
So that helps clear out the mess and the obstacles and gives you some grounding.
Yes, yes, grounding, and as we talked about earlier, uh, not not having the editor enter the picture uh, any at that time at all. The editing comes much later to me,
Tell me about
but
that.
just the
What
free
is
form.
Okay. So how do you get into your free form? What does that look like?
Well, sometimes it may be. Of course, the way I the way I've taught songwriting to children to try to simplify it as much as possible was that the three elements of a song are a feeling, an idea, and a form. They have to have all three. But as far as which one you start with, you can start with any of those three. So if it's a form you start with, then usually it's kind of a melody on the guitar or some kind of a riff or some kind of thing that is inspiring. If it's a feeling, then of course, that's just an emotion that that you want to get across, like singing a lullaby, to your granddaughter, your daughter, or whatnot. And if it's an idea, then that's kind of like a hook, an idea. But you have to have all three of those.
I like that, George. That's really,
You have to have all three.
yeah, really tangible.
But you can start with either one.
Right.
So when I work with kids, when we talked about feelings, then we went into touch, taste, smell, the six senses,
Right.
and your heart being in
The
there
center
too.
of all that.
Yeah. Well, one of the senses, like
Yeah.
a memory or something. So the kids, it was working with like, third, fourth, fifth graders. And so when I'm writing, I usually I can pick up on something that I've already gotten, started working on. As far as sitting down and trying to come up with a fresh, just say I got a blank sheet of paper, I'm gonna write a song. That doesn't usually happen. I usually get my ideas out here,
Right.
or my feelings out here, and there again, that's from life experience, and sometimes on the road when you have that, that solitude and that ability to have an uninterrupted,
Right. And that's
space and time,
yes.
then you can say, well, you may just, how it is. You see something, it's like, oh,
Yes.
yeah,
That would work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's something there. There's an idea there or a feeling.
I also want to ask you about other creative endeavors that you've done, and I know that you have a book and the musical accompaniment to that. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I'm going to post a link here so that our viewers can follow up on that. But how important is it to have different avenues of creative interests?
Well, I think uh, that prose is real important to to have a handle on, along with this poetry of song. And you know, um, in my case, I think of each song as being a small story, and so it just seemed to be a natural consequence that if you strung a bunch of songs together, you could have a big story. So
Nice.
that's where the movie and song Small Town Sundown came from. There was a character that sort of got in the shotgun side of my car, or coming home. All this time I spend driving in the hill country of Texas, coming home after a gig. They're usually an hour or 2 hour drive, and there again, uh, you're alone. You have the solitude. You have the silence, and this character, was he kind of old school, um, and family, faith, and country, and so those values were, he was an older man. He was born in the 30s, so he saw the Korean War, and
So it
that's where the story kind of started.
the story starts.
Then I had some songs that already would fit into
fit
this.
into that.
Right, like
Yeah.
the Cowboy Church song and Mom and Pops.
Right.
And
So this just kind of became kind of like a concept album to
yes,
some degree too,
Mhm.
and you wrote extra work around it, which I think is a really beautiful thing to do. And I know in my own life I'm not. I don't only practice musical creativity. I also do visual art, and many other types of crafts and
Mhm.
making. I love to make stuff.
Yeah, I do
and
too.
and all of those things seem to feed my creative spirit. So,
Mhm.
taking your music and seeing it in this really big and more elaborate piece of work, I think is really a lovely thing, and I personally can't wait to read it. So, anyway, folks, this is George Ensle, and I hope you do follow the link to hear some of George's music and to see some of his work. Thank you.
Thank you.